In this episode, I am going to be talking to you guys about how I get return on investment, maximum return on investment after I attend in-person meetings. Hi, Docs. I'm Dr. Latifat. I'm the host of the MoneyfitMD Podcast. This is where we help badass women physicians just like you learn simple and effective tools to build wealth from the inside out. That way, we can create wealth and bigger impact without all the burnout. Enjoy the episode. Welcome, guys, to another episode. I'm Dr. Latifat, aka MoneyfitMD. Y'all know that what I do here is helping women physicians live their best life by learning how to manage their finances, grow their money, and build their wealth so they can have a life of freedom. I am super duper excited about this episode for many reasons, but one of it is because I am literally not even coming off a high, but I'm still on a high of our first in-person money event that we just completed. Oh my goodness, guys. I just came back, honestly, super duper early this morning, which was like 10 or 11 hours ago from our in-person meeting, which was in Atlanta. If you've been listening to this podcast, you may have heard about it already. Maybe you're watching us on YouTube, you've heard about it, or you're in my email community or my first Facebook or Instagram. We've been planning this event for a couple months now, and to say that it exceeded my expectation is not an exaggeration. We had all those women physicians in the room, connecting together, having conversations, building. Some of them had known each other before, and some hadn't met each other before. But what is special about the women that I have around me is that they're just so giving, so open-minded, that even when someone new comes into the community, they're like, it feels like home pretty much right away. And I remember one of the women there that was like, this is my first event since like before the pandemic. Imagine that. She hadn't been to any event since before the pandemic. We had many women physicians that this was their first money event. Oh my goodness. Like at that moment, every single thing that we did to make this moment come together was so worth it. And if you've ever planned an in-person event before, you know that it's not easy. It's no beans, but it was so worth it. Just seeing the women, being able to share, being able to connect, and just listening to their conversation they were having with each other, listening to the plans they had after the event, the actions they were taking. And honestly, I'm recording this on my first day back. And I'm seeing some of the posts that you guys are sharing on Facebook about what you're doing, your disability insurance, the investment, the connections. And I'm like, my heart is full. My heart is full. But y'all know that I'm a huge fan of getting above and beyond what you paid for. And so there are times when I personally go to an in-person event and just being there, being clear about what my intentions are, whether it's to rest, to connect, to rejuvenate, just being there for me, most times it's already worth the investment. But I'm a huge fan of y'all getting way beyond what you even paid, even above and beyond. And so I wanted to share with you guys today, whether you attended our event this time in 2024, or you're going to be attending our subsequent events in 2025, which I'll talk to y'all about in a second, because the women that were in the room were like, Latifah, when is the next one going to be? What's the next one going to be? So we got some things together, got some numbers together. And honestly, by the time, even before the event was over, we already had 25% of the seats for 2025 already like taken and like booked, right? And so I'm excited about 2025. I'm excited about 2024. I'm not done processing yet, But I also wanted to share with you guys how I personally get above and beyond after my event, so that if you attended our in-person event, you can learn this stuff and incorporate it. But if you did not attend our in-person event and you're attending other events, you now have this episode to look back to, and you can come find it, listen to it, and now be able to get so much more for your return investment. I'll give you guys an example. I was at an event personally that I went to go learn from earlier this year, and the event itself was free, I believe, but it was associated with a program that my husband and I are a part of that actually costs us like really significant 5 figures of investment to get into. And when I was at the event, my intention was I was going to get my return on my investment, not in like a hustly way, not in a grindy way, but just helps my brain focus on what I want to get out of it. And I'm not about going to an event like, oh yeah, that was cute, that was nice, that was blah, blah, blah. I mean, I want all that, but I want above and beyond. And if you listen to my platform, you want above and beyond. And my intent was I wanted to get 5 figures return on that in-person investment. And I do this from not a scarcity mindset, I do it from an abundance mindset, meaning that it's not about the volume of stuff that I get out of it. It's about the intentionality that I use whatever small pieces that I get, put it into my life, and now the result of that is going to be bigger. So I think about this event like a seed. That what are the things, what are the tools that I can now take this seed, plant it in certain strategic places in my life, and be able to get return on my investment. And it doesn't matter what the event is. It could be virtual, it could be marketing, it could be coaching, it could be relationship, it could be building, whatever it is, you get to incorporate this and get your return on investment, because we all know that wealth is about money and a lot more than money. And I want y'all to get all of that stuff. So anyways, let's talk about just being in the room. I was speaking with one of the women at this event, the in-person event, Wealthy You Life, that we did. And I was honestly humbled and amazed by the grit of this women. They're remarkable and just a reminder to me of why I do what I do. And one of the women, when she had tried boarding the flight to get there, they were on the tarmac for like 2 hours or so, but their plane wasn't moving. Eventually, they off-boarded, and she was like, this is becoming too long. I'm going to go back home. She went home. But what she did not do is say, I'm going to go back home and I'm not going to try. She said she had looked at flights, and the flights that were going to get her there was going to get her later than she had planned or intended. So what she did was she went home and got on the phone, and took her an hour, and she was now able to get another flight next day, get to the airport. So between the time between her first arrival at the airport, the very first time, to when she actually made it to us was like 40 something hours. And she still showed up. So humbling for me. And one thing she said was, Latifat, I will be honest with you, it was not easy. It was not easy. But that was because there were some tornadoes and, things that nobody can account for. However, this is what she said. Just being here, within just 1 hour of being here, it was already worth it. It was already worth it all. Within an hour of being there, it was already worth it all. And we did a survey of the women that were in the room, and we asked them to fill out forms of what we can do differently, what they would like to see in future events, and all that. And y'all, we got all the tips. So next year is going to be even more amazing. And 100% of the people there, 100% said they would return. 100. I was humbled. I would have been good with 80. 100%, y'all. So there are things you can do by just marinating yourself in the experience that gets you the return of investment, that if nothing else came after, you're already good. But then what I do after the event are the things that I want to share with you guys. And y'all know it's not about being perfect. You don't have to do all of this. If you would do 0 and now you do 50%, that's already worth it. If you normally do 50% and you do 75%, that's already worth it. That's already growing and going above and beyond what you normally would do. So this is one of the first things that I do, and I have it on a time-based way. So immediately, I already talked about in the room. So now we're done with that. That's like, time 0. And then immediately, and my immediate is usually between when I most times when I'm flying back home, to be honest with you, or within 24 or maximum 48 hours. I review my notes. Most times I do that on my way on the flight. I review my notes. It's like, what notes did I take from there? What do I want to journal about my experience? Because I love re-experiencing things. And one of the gifts of journaling is you get to capture not just the thoughts, but also the feelings you had at that moment, so that in 6 months from now, 3 months from now, you can go back to read your notes, that if you did it well in a way that is good for you, that speaks your language, you can re-experience the same feelings that you had at that moment and bring it up again, because that can now be a fuel for you in like 3 months to be able to go forward. Okay. So I review my notes. I do some reflection, almost like gratitude, and also journal about what happened in the room, what I'm taking away from this, what my experiences were. But when it comes to the notes that I wrote, I like to write them in numbers. And so if I didn't do that before, I like to now do that almost like in chronological order, just to have a list, because I like having lists that you can just like knock out and cross out. So I review the things that I took away from there so I can relearn, because the more you relearn, the more it starts, like it marinates even deeper, so that it goes from beyond just an experience, which by itself is amazing, to now become an experience plus, right? Transformation that goes above and beyond that weekend. And, the women, some of you guys that were in the room, when I asked people, like, what words would you use to describe this? People said inspiring, motivating, transformative, life-changing, fun, grounding, liberating. I love those words. And I want us to take it now from there to now being able to take it even outside of the room with us. And the way you do that is by reviewing the notes and listing out the actions that you want to take in chronological order. As part of that is also connecting with the people that you said you wanted to connect with. So maybe there was a speaker at the event that you really enjoyed and you want to have on your podcast. Someone, maybe one of the speakers, one of the sponsors that you want to engage with. And you're like, okay, this is something that I want to do, like sending an email. The sooner you send the email, the more likely you are to complete it. In fact, I was at an event that I spoke at just a couple of weeks ago. And one of my things was I wanted to connect and invite one of the speakers to my podcast. But because I didn't do it right away, I still haven't done it. And now it's been like going in. She's probably going to remember me because I was a speaker at the event and we got to connect. However, it's just more efficient for me to do it sooner. And that way I get to create the result by bringing her to come talk to y'all on this podcast and, share even some more amazing stuff with you. I hope that's making sense. So it's the importance of executing within, like on your way back home. If you're driving, you don't want to be typing while you're driving. So just getting home, and whether you want to do that before you leave the hotel even, but just within that first, after the event to like 48 hours, you ideally want to do this. And then the next one is within that 2 to 3 days. And guys, y'all know you don't have to be perfect with this. Like, how many times do I have to tell you that you don't have to? I love you guys. I know if you're just meeting us for the first time, hi. I'm usually a little bit more put together. No, who am I kidding? This is it is what it is, y'all. This is what you get. If you can take this, may the force be with you as you find another podcast to listen to, or another Netflix or whatever. I just said Netflix. Am I prophesying into my own life? Am I going? Maybe. Who knows? Maybe we need a Netflix show. Maybe if you're listening to this and you have some connections on Netflix, I don't know what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about money. I don't know what we're going to be talking about. Money mindset, building life, being in integrity, living a life that's grounded, being authentic to yourself, and creating your own rich life. I'm happy to come talk to y'all. Well, y'all got me coughing now. Anyways, so that first one, just my point is the timeline doesn't have to be perfect, but these are the things that I do. And then now going to the next timeline, it's usually within 2 to 3 days. The list that I have, I want to make sure that it goes on my calendar at the latest within 3 days. And the reason why is if you think about the things that you do and the things that you don't do, we show up to clinic, take care of patients because they're on our schedule. You go to the OR because it's on your schedule. You take your kids to their doctor's appointment to see their primary care doctor, their subspecialist, to go to school because there is a schedule. But for most of us, when we look on our schedule, we are not on our schedule. Our life is not on our schedule. Our wealth is not on our schedule. And we wonder why we come last, why we don't do the things that we should be doing first, why we're doing those last. So if it's not on your schedule, don't blame you for not doing it because you did not put it on the schedule. I know it sounds like I'm talking about a bunch of youths, but you get what I mean. So I like to put the things that I want to execute on my schedule so that it actually happens. So what you do is if you use a Google Calendar, you use your, MacBook calendar, whatever calendar you use, go ahead and open it up and now start to put the things that you said you were going to do on your calendar. And your job is to honor and respect and obey your calendar because it has your best self in mind. So, for example, if your goal was to have CEO hours, there were literally people in the room that I was like, you want to find an app? Good. Let us know the app before the end of today. You want to invite someone to your podcast? Go ahead and send them an email right away. Like those actions are best executed sooner than later. So if you look at your actions, put them on your calendar. If you wanted to do, there's a physician there that's like, I want to start having a money hour, which is what I call a CEO money hour. And so for her, I was like, what day would that need to be? What time would it need to be? Like getting down to the specifics so that we're not like hand waving. The more specific you are, the more wealth you're going to build. That's just the truth of it. So get specific and look at your calendar and put things on your calendar until you get to the last thing. It doesn't mean you're executing everything right at the moment, but because it's on your calendar and you are going to honor your calendar, you know that it will get done. Right? So put that on your calendar for this week, for next week, the following week, so that now your job is to obey what you put on your calendar. And then the next point is now going to about a week after is you want to go back and review the list again. Review the list, review your notes, review your journal. I want you to take that perfume with you for as long as possible because events can be transformative in the moment, but also they can be life-changing after. And the reason why this is important, guys, is this. I was sharing this in the room that unfortunately, when it comes to money and wealth building, 90% of the population has it wrong. What we're taught is not how you build wealth. And ask me how I know, because I was there before, right? And if we don't learn how things are done, we're going to keep repeating the same mistake. And if you think about our brains and our minds, they're marinated in our environment, in our community. And most times, most people in our natural next door environments may not have the mindset that you want that's going to create the life that you want. And that becomes the thermometer that you're going to reset to with time. If you're not intentional about marinating your mind at this new temperature that you got at the event so that the change you've got becomes sustained. Am I making sense? Some of you guys, maybe when you're in the room, you're like, I want to make sure I sign up for the event, the next event that's going to happen. Have you done that yet? Maybe you're like, okay, this is a program that I want to be a part of, a community that I want to become a part of, so that this continues with me through the experience that we get in every week inside of the coaching community. Have you done that yet? Because I will tell you what will happen, which is the exact natural thing that happens. The same way a bike does not go uphill, it goes downhill. Your brain will reset back to what it was before if you don't do something different, if you don't anchor, if you don't have a plan. And if you've decided that you don't want to be a part of that community, that's okay. But just make sure that you have the power to decide how impactful and how long length of time into the future you get impacted by what you just experienced in the room. Am I making sense? I hear you're saying yes, you're making sense. So review this again. The goal is you want this perfume to last. You want the mindset tools to last. You want the feelings to last longer. It's going to decrease over time. And that's why it's important to make sure you have a way that you're anchoring yourself to these communities, whether it's through a free community, it's paid community, it's listening to this podcast every single week to change your mindset. Y'all know that one of the things that I do is, the Bible is something that helps remodel the way that I think. And the Bible talks about be transformed by the renewal of your mind. It takes a renewal. You don't poop one day and never poop again. You got to move your GI tract pretty frequently, like not too frequent. but enough times, at least 3 times a week. Ideally more than that, but at least 3 times a week. Otherwise, you need to talk to your doctor, and we need to talk about your diet, water, and all the things that you may need to do to get you moving more than 3 times a week. But y'all get my point. So don't treat this like something that is absolutely required. Don't treat this like something that should be done with perfectionism. However, you guys know that I want you to be badass. And I'm just telling y'all what I do to get the most maximum return on investment on my time, on my money, on my attention. I don't take it lightly that I leave my home, I leave my bed, I leave my space, I leave my kids, I leave my husband, I leave my patients, if that's a thing for you, to invest all of my time and my attention and my money into the things that I'm going to. So I want to make sure that it's worth it, so that their sacrifice and my sacrifice is not in vain. And these are the things that I do. So I hope this has been helpful for you. For those of you guys that you're in the room, you guys already heard that we're doing this again. Wealthy You Life apparently will become an annual thing. This is so crazy. This is so crazy. This is so crazy. I'm humbled by it. I'm grateful for it. And I'm thankful for the women in the room that are like, Latifat, you have to do this. We need this. Our community needs this. Women of all colors, diverse colors, white, black, Asian. I was going to say green, but I don't think anybody's green. But y'all get what I'm pointing. Black, white. We need this. And I'm honored that we get to have that representation in our room. And we're doing this again in 2025. God willing, it's going to be September 19th to 21 in San Diego, California. Yes, 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 yes. So by the time you listen to this, we're going to be rolling out some early bird sign up. Okay. Because the math has to math. The numbers have to make sense. Y'all know I tell you, numbers got to make sense. Math got to math. This math has to math. So for the early bird, to encourage you guys to commit early, to put a stake in the ground for September next year, to be able to help your brain in person, to get the juice flowing again, move to the next level of your transformation again, we can only discount the price for only a limited number of people because the math got a math. And so for the early bird, we're going to have a limited number. When you listen to this episode, go to the link that's there. If the link is not there, it means that we're sold out on the early bird. If the link is there, go book right now. Block your schedule at work right now. Tell the call people, move your parent, or if you're a single parent, move, and you need to change when you're going to be able to watch your kids. Like, you can see if you can make that arrangement with your spouse if possible. And if it's not possible, that's okay. We had someone during our event that we were able to find amazing childcare for, and her bougie daughter got to have a bougie weekend, enjoying herself and living her best life during our event over there. So I want to make sure there's literally nothing standing between you and you being there. So my point is, make the arrangements now, book the spot now. If the early bird is done, we may start to sell the ticket at our still discounted price, but maybe a little bit higher than early bird. But the key is, if you want to join us, go book now. One of the feedbacks that you guys said at the in-person was you love how intimate it was. And we had about, I want to say, about 30 people that registered for the event. And so we want to keep it intimate. We don't want a huge conference. And when the seat is gone, it is gone. But I want you there with us. So I love you. I hope this is helpful for you. I appreciate those of you guys that came. Thank you for all the notes. Thank you for the love. As of the time of this recording, about 25% of the seats are already taken by those that were in the room. So if you want to be there next year, don't snooze. Don't let we'll see determine your outcome. Make decisions Be intentional. Choose the time, choose the spot, make it work. We're there to serve, and I cannot wait to see you next year. I love you guys so, so much. See you in the next episode. And of course, if you've enjoyed this, make sure you leave us a review. Let us know how this impacts you as you get return on investment on our own events, but also on the other events that you attend. I'll talk to you in the next episode. Goodbye.